for the last 20 years, there's been so much focus on big A and agile and tools and these. What do you think are the next 5 to 10 years? Like
Okay.
when it comes to
Well, first of
agility and
all,
focusing to agility, yeah.
Agile as a movement is coming to the end of its life cycle. It's had 20 years, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you want the indications of why, you can see the commoditization of SAFe and the fact that PMI didn't have the guts to take it on, but are trying to imitate it, all right? And that's a mistake, all right? The other thing is that the fact that the big consultancies have all adopted it. So they bought Agile brand companies at ridiculous P ratios just to get into a market. Now, if you've been around long enough and if you know enough about the theory of market life cycles, that means the market's entering its commoditization stage, which means that's the time when you introduce new things because the market's stale. Now, you don't do that by trying to be romantic about the past or trying to create your own new special thing. And to be quite honest, Dean with SAFe moved into that field before anybody else, and he owns it now. I mean, it was unscrupulous. It was sold off a pyramid selling scheme. He's now trying to introduce quality, but that's to stop other people doing what he did to get established in the first place. And yeah, fine, all right. The point is that always happens, and it happens about that life cycle. Now, what the new thing is, I think, is open. If you want my view on it, I think first of all, most software development has followed the sort of engineering metaphor that underpins systems thinking. And it uses manufacturing metaphors in the main, in terms of the way it thinks. Now, complexity takes organic metaphor. So, for example, if I look at some of the work we're doing at the moment, we're looking at mapping existing capabilities against unarticulated needs. Now, that's a complete switch away from traditional procurement and software design, but actually it allows you to progress faster, quicker. Yeah. We're looking at architectural issues in which, as I said back in the 80s, but nobody listened to me then, people are objects too. So organizations and people and identities are objects. They have input output, they interact with technology. If you architect the system properly, then radical innovations will emerge through those interactions. And I think that's the really important lesson of complexity. It's not about things, it's about how they interact. And if you change the interactions, then radical change happens. If you try and change things, nothing changes.
So it's really about designing the systems and designing influencing the system and designing.
It's designing the architecture. So, for example, we've developed a whole typology of what's called scaffolding. So, for example, do you have an endoskeleton or an exoskeleton? If you have an exoskeleton, the thing is contained, you know what it will look like. Yeah. If you have an endoskeleton, then you have a coherent structure, but a huge amount of variety can develop very quickly. And the issue is to make choices like that, right? And this goes way beyond things like perpetual alpha or perpetual beta as well. If you can stabilize your objects, whether they're people objects or software objects, then and allow the interactions to determine what the system as a whole looks like, you're effectively allowing things to grow or evolve rather than trying to define in advance what they should be. And that means you create far more resilience. And if you look at it, that's actually the way the internet has developed. Things like hashtags suddenly became ways that you connect different things, right? And nobody designed that. It just kind of like happened, right? And I could go through other examples. The key thing there was the creation of open standards. So the fact that all of these, and that again, open standards are interaction protocols. So if you can create a common understood interaction protocol, all sorts of exciting things can evolve.